Something unprecedented just happened in Silicon Valley, and most people have no idea it even occurred. While the world was distracted by chatbot updates and AI features being rolled into every app imaginable, Google quietly deployed something that doesn't just compete with OpenAI or Anthropic, it obliterates the playing field entirely. We're not talking about a better language model, we're not talking about slightly faster responses or cleaner interfaces. We're talking about an artificial intelligence system so deeply integrated into the infrastructure of the internet itself that competitors might not be able to catch up for years. The war for AI dominance just entered a phase where the weapons aren't just smarter algorithms, they're entire ecosystems. And Google's move is forcing every rival to make a choice, adapt immediately, merge desperately, or disappear quietly. The clock is ticking, and the implications stretch far beyond who builds the best chatbot. Right, let me be clear about why this matters right now. This isn't a tech enthusiast story. This is about who controls the next layer of human knowledge, commerce, creativity, and decision making. Google doesn't just want to build a better AI assistant, they want to become the operating system for intelligence itself. And they have something no one else has. 2 billion active Android devices, YouTube's endless content library, Google Search's monopoly on information retrieval, and Google Cloud infrastructure powering half the internet. When you combine all of that with an AI system designed to learn from every interaction across every platform simultaneously, you don't get a competitor. You get a digital empire. Here's what actually happened. A few weeks ago, Google didn't just release Gemini 2.0. They released something far more dangerous to competitors. Gemini Deep Research integrated directly into Google Search, Gmail, Google Docs, YouTube, and Android operating systems. This isn't an API you can access. This isn't a chatbot you visit on a website. This is AI baked into the tools 3 billion people use every single day. Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing that every search query you make, every email you draft, every video you watch is now being enhanced, predicted, and shaped by an AI that knows more about your behavior than you do. That's not science fiction. That's what just went live. And here's why that's a seismic shift. OpenAI has ChatGPT, Anthropic has Claude. Both are phenomenal products, but they exist in isolation. You have to visit their websites. You have to copy and paste your work. You have to manually integrate them into your workflow. Google doesn't need you to do any of that. Gemini is already inside your phone. It's already reading your calendar. It's already watching your search history. It's already analyzing your YouTube viewing patterns. And it's using all of that data to become hyper personalized in ways that standalone chatbots simply cannot match. The competitive advantage isn't just technical, it's structural. Now here's where it gets darker. Google's move isn't just about building better AI. It's about locking competitors out of the data pipelines they need to compete. Every AI system requires massive amounts of data to improve. OpenAI trained GPT-4 on publicly available internet text. Anthropic trained Claude on curated datasets and partnerships. But Google owns the data sources themselves. They don't need to scrape the web, they are the web. YouTube alone generates more video content in a single day than a human could watch in 1,000 lifetimes. Google Search processes 8 billion queries per day. Gmail hosts 2 billion active users. And now Gemini can learn from all of it in real time. Competitors aren't just behind, they're cut off from the fuel supply. This is why Microsoft made that emergency $10 billion investment into OpenAI. This is why Anthropic is frantically partnering with Amazon for cloud infrastructure and funding. This is why Elon Musk is building Grok inside X with access to the entire Twitter data fire hose. They all see what's happening. The AI race isn't about who builds the smartest model anymore. It's about who controls the ecosystems where AI can continuously learn and improve. And Google just activated the largest ecosystem in human history. But there's another layer to this that almost no one is talking about: regulation. OpenAI and Anthropic are standalone companies. They can be regulated, they can be sued, they can be broken up if governments decide they're too powerful. Google is different. Google is already embedded so deeply into global infrastructure that regulators struggle to even define what breaking it up would mean. If you remove Google search from the internet, millions of businesses collapse overnight. If you remove YouTube, global media infrastructure fractures. If you remove Gmail, entire governments lose communication systems. Google knows this. And by integrating Gemini directly into these untouchable platforms, they're making their AI equally untouchable. It's genius, it's ruthless, and it's probably unstoppable. Meanwhile, something strange is happening in China. While Silicon Valley companies fight each other, China isn't competing with Google. They're building parallel digital universes. Baidu's ErnieBot isn't trying to beat Gemini in the US market. It's dominating the Chinese market where Google is banned. Alibaba's Tongyi Qianwen isn't fighting for Western users. It's integrating into WeChat, Alipay, and Taobao, where 1 billion people live their entire digital lives. The global AI race isn't one race. It's two completely separate technological civilizations evolving in isolation. And the terrifying question no one wants to ask is, what happens when these two AI superpowers eventually collide? Here's what keeps researchers awake at night. Google's new system isn't just learning from data, it's learning from context. Gemini Deep Research can analyze your search history, your location data, your email patterns, your calendar, your photos, your voice commands, and your YouTube watch history to predict what you need before you even ask. That level of predictive intelligence is unprecedented, and it raises a question that no one has a good answer to. When an AI knows you better than you know yourself, who's really in control? Google says this is about convenience, about making technology disappear into the background. But critics see something else. They see the world's most powerful advertising company gaining the ability to predict and influence human behavior at a scale that makes Cambridge Analytica look like a high school science project. And yet here's the paradox. Despite all this power, Google is terrified because OpenAI just demonstrated something Google never expected, that a startup with no hardware, no operating system, and no distribution network could build an AI so compelling that 100 million people would voluntarily visit their website every single week. That's the nightmare scenario for Google. The idea that users might prefer a standalone AI experience over Google's integrated ecosystem. It's why Google rushed Gemini into production. It's why they're integrating it everywhere simultaneously. It's why they're undercutting OpenAI's pricing. They're not moving from a position of strength. They're moving from a position of existential fear. This brings us to the most uncomfortable truth about this entire war. None of these companies actually know where this technology is heading. Google doesn't know if Gemini will achieve artificial general intelligence. OpenAI doesn't know if GPT-5 will be a minor upgrade or a species-level breakthrough. Anthropic doesn't know if their constitutional AI approach will scale. Everyone is building toward a horizon they cannot see, and the stakes are so astronomically high that slowing down isn't an option. It's a race where the finish line keeps moving, the rules keep changing, and the consequences of winning or losing could reshape human civilization. So where does this leave the rest of us? Watching 3 billion people slowly migrate into an AI-powered digital environment controlled by a handful of companies who are locked in a competition so intense that safety concerns get deprioritized, ethical questions get deferred, and regulatory oversight gets outpaced. Google's latest move isn't just a product launch, it's a declaration of dominance, a signal to every competitor that the age of scrappy AI, startups challenging tech giants, is over. The giants are awake now, and they're using every advantage they have. But here's the twist no one saw coming. The more powerful Google's AI becomes, the more dependent Google becomes on that AI. They're building a system they'll eventually lose control over. Not because it becomes sentient, but because it becomes so integrated into so many critical systems that removing it or shutting it down becomes impossible. Google is creating its own lock-in, a technological dependency that future generations will inherit whether they want to or not. And that's the real story here. This isn't about Google crushing OpenAI or Anthropic. This is about humanity entering a phase where artificial intelligence stops being a tool we use and starts being an infrastructure we live inside, where the question isn't whether AI is good or bad, but whether we can still make meaningful choices about how it shapes our lives. Google just moved us one massive step closer to that threshold, and they did it quietly, efficiently, and irreversibly. The war in Silicon Valley isn't over. It's just entering a phase where the battlefield itself is changing, where the weapons are ecosystems, where the prize is influence over billions of minds, and where the consequences won't be measured in quarterly earnings, but in what kind of future we're building, whether we realize it or not.